Hello and welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd and you are watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. Are you all ready for war? Are you prepared for war? Do you think war is coming? Well, I'll tell you now that a lot of countries are preparing for war right now, and it appears that the US military is not ready for it, okay? And as well as many other militaries, I don't think any of them are ready for it, especially in the West. But primarily, the US military is way too weak for war, and apparently, we are as well in danger of not being able to defend our national interests, okay? There's a study that has come out that I want to talk to you about today that proves that the US military is way too weak to fight a war, to defend our national interests. And clearly, as we can see here with what's going on in the Middle East and all these conflicts breaking out, we don't have the ability to control anything that's going on. And it's very scary. And I want to talk about that because for, probably most of my viewers here live in the United States. And I want you to be aware that our U.S. military is way too weak. Okay. And they are not prepared to defend anybody here. Should a war break out, there's lots of wars I'm going to talk to you about, potential wars with Russia going forward in the future. So let's get into this. I've got an article here for you. U.S. military is weak and in danger of not being able to defend national interests. Okay, this is a study that just came out. So let's go over this just briefly here. For the second consecutive year, a study has ranked the U.S. military as weak and warned that a lack of action could leave the armed forces incapable of defending vital American interests. The current U.S. military force is at significant risk of being unable to meet the demands of a single major regional conflict while also attending to various presence and engagement activities, reads the conclusion of the Heritage Foundation's 10th Annual Index of Military Strength, which was released Wednesday. The report paints a dire picture of the state of the U.S. military, with its current posture being rated at weak by the index for the second consecutive year, calling into question America's ability to meet security obligations and protect vital national interests around the globe. The 664-page report addresses a wide range of issues, finding that almost no branch of the U.S. military is ready to face a major conflict. Those issues are most pronounced in the Air Force, which the index rated as very weak in 2023. That's definitely not good, guys. So, I've been saying this for a while now that none of these countries are really ready for war. We're acting like we are, but war is right around the corner here. If what we see happening over in the Middle East doesn't concern you, the war in Ukraine should concern you even more. And I've been putting emphasis on the war in Ukraine, that especially the Western countries right now, aside from the U.S., they are ramping up their productions to provide weapons and drones and all kinds of things to Ukraine in preparation for a potential major offensive by the Russians here very soon. Okay, and we have lots of warnings coming out. I'm going to be going over these in just a minute, from different countries warning their citizens to prepare for war. I've done many different videos talking about Sweden, Sweden's defense minister coming out, UK's defense minister coming out. We have Norway, all these different countries coming out and telling their citizens get prepared for war. We're going to talk about that more in just a minute. But what's most concerning here is more than likely, at least the United States, we are not prepared for a major war, especially with a country like Russia or China or something like that. We really don't have the resources necessary to do this, and our recruitment numbers are down. Actually, many different countries' recruitment numbers are really low right now. And just something I want to note too, I'm not trying to throw shade on anybody or make fun of anyone, but if you just look at just the United States alone, we have a lot of unhealthy people. Okay, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Our systems here to keep people healthy is really not good. We've got fast food joints on every corner, and a large percentage of the population is just so heavily overweight. And how are these people going to be ready to fight a war, against a battle hardened army, especially like Russia? Now, Russia's been fighting for several years now. Many of these soldiers are so trained, so well trained, and they're ready to fight. And we've got record low amount of recruitment in this country. And if we recruit a bunch of people who are overweight, unfit. How is that going to go for us? It's not going to go well at all. So it's very scary to think about. I want everybody to be aware of that. So, yeah, the report rates each branch of service on its strength and capacity, capability, and readiness, rating the branch power as either very weak, weak, marginal, strong, or very strong. The Air Force rated as marginal in both capacity and capability, while also rating weak for readiness. Overall, the report found the Air Force power currently rates as very weak, the lowest rating possible. So that's our Air Force. So currently rated as very weak. Okay, so it's that's very frightening. I mean, think about that. Our Air Force is where we've got our fighters, our fighter jets, our bombers, and our surveillance, all kinds of different things that the Air Force does, and we have the weakest Air Force in history probably. And I think most of you would agree with me on that. That things are, we're in a dangerous position here. Okay, so switching gears for a moment. Now I want you to see here. I've done videos like this before talking about this, but I want to talk about this a little bit more and go into detail here. That we've got all these countries warning about war. We've got NATO coming out and warning about war, and the West is pumping up this rhetoric and saying, "Hey, you know what? All the citizens of Europe, get ready for war and get ready to be, drafted or conscripted into the military, and we're going to be fighting Russia here pretty soon." Okay, so here's a video. If you guys haven't seen this, this is NATO Admiral. His name is Rob Bauer, and he's basically warning citizens of all the West basically to have essential supplies and things like that. I've shown this video before, but I want to show it one more time for those of you that haven't seen it. So go ahead and check this out real quick.
You need to have water, you need to have a radio on batteries, and you need to have a flashlight on batteries to make sure that you can survive the first 36 hours. Things like that. That's simple things. But it starts there. The realization that not everything is plannable, not everything is going to be honky-dory in the next 20 years. I'm not saying it is going wrong tomorrow, but we have to realize it's not a given that we are in peace. And that's why we have the plans. That's why we are preparing for a conflict with Russia and the terror groups, if it comes to it, if they attack us. We're not seeking any conflict. But if they attack us, we have to be ready. You need to have water, you need to have...
So if you see there, yeah, he says it's not a given that we're at peace. I don't know if you catch that there, but he says that it's not a given that we're at peace. So that's a major warning that, yes, the world is destabilized. We've got war right around the corner. And doesn't that scare you? If you live in the United States, does that not scare you that we have the weakest military ever in history, probably? And we've got war right around the corner with all these people like NATO Admiral Rob Barrow coming out and saying, hey, make sure you've got supplies, make sure you've got a flashlight, make sure you got batteries and food and water, things like that. And I noticed there that he says, if so you can survive the first 36 hours of what? Like just a declaration of war or nuclear war or what exactly? But in general, yes, should we all be prepared? Yeah, we all should be prepared for anything. Anything can happen and we never know, and he's right about that. But I want you to understand how dangerous this is, that we've got so many countries here that are ready to go to war, and the number one, the top dog, the strongest military in the entire world, supposedly the U.S. military, is the weakest military out of all of them. Okay? And I'm sure there's more reports that will come out, more studies that will be done in other countries. I did hear something about Britain as well, that they may have a weak military, but for sure right now, a study's coming out that the U.S. military is extremely weak. And like I said, the number one problem as well is we've got record low recruitment numbers. And I wonder why. If many of you have been following what's been happening, the attacks on the military in the United States over the last few years, it really makes sense why we have record low recruitment numbers. Okay, so here's just a quick article here. We're not really going to go over this, but I'll just kind of talk about this. So Britain's face call up to the fight in the armed forces if UK goes to war with Russia. So excuse me. So basically, this top army chief is warning, okay, if war gets declared against Russia, they're going to call up regular citizens of Britain to get ready to fight this war. Okay, if you live in the United Kingdom, are you ready for that? Are you ready for war? Are you ready to be called up and to be sent to the front lines of Ukraine or wherever it might be, or the Baltics, to go fight this war in against Russia? I don't think most people are ready. Most people nowadays, they're sitting at home watching Netflix or browsing social media, hanging out on their phone, and most people are completely oblivious to the fact that war is right around the corner here. And I've been saying this for quite a while now and trying to warn everybody that we've got war coming. Okay, war is definitely coming. Here's another article right here showing more of it. This is out of Norway. Okay, we are running out of time to build defenses against Russia, warns Norway's commander in chief. Okay, Moscow is building up its weapon stockpiles much faster than NATO allies and had anticipated, creating a sense of urgency, the general said. So, again, another this is Norway's commander, another top official coming out and saying, you know what, war is coming. And again, where's the United States military? If you look at what's happening too, like just down in the Red Sea right now in the Gulf of Aden against Yemen, we're not doing too great of a job down there. We're not really degrading the Houthis' ability to attack these ships. We're not really defending that well against these attacks on the commercial ships. Many of these missiles are striking these ships. I mean, we're not as strong of an army as we used to be in the United States. So I want people to understand that live in the United States, that we're not nearly as strong as we used to be. And I think most of you can agree with that. So just be prepared that at some point, if this happens and there is a declaration of war, that we're gonna see something very terrible. And the United States is not going to be ready to defend any of their interests and none of their national interests, just like that article stated. Okay, it could get really bad. So here's another one. Sweden's call for population to prepare for war sparks panic and criticism. So I did a report on this too. Yeah, this was a Swedish defense minister. I forget his name, but he came out at one point too and was warning the Swedes, hey, get prepared, start buying supplies. Same thing with them. Buy food and water. Make sure you've got a few weeks of supplies, medicine, things like that to keep you sustained should a war break out. Because the number one thing that's going to happen is if a war breaks out, we're going to have major supply chain issues right off the bat, especially with what's going on down in the Red Sea. Think about that too. Inflation is going to spiral out of control if ships no longer can get through the sea, because now we don't have that U.S.-led coalition of Navy ships protecting the Red Sea anymore, because now they're directed towards Russia or China or North Korea, or some other war breaks out. This whole thing can just snap really quickly in one day completely snap. And if you're not prepared and you don't have the supplies you need, who's going to come and save you? No one's going to save you. You're going to be on your own. And the government is not going to come out and save your butt. Okay, you're going to be in real big trouble. So I hope everybody is prepared for that should this come, because the U.S. military, again, they're way too weak to do anything. They're not going to be able to defend anything, and not much at all, at least. So take a look at this too. NATO warns of all-out war with Russia in the next 20 years. Top officials urge civilians, as well as governments, to prepare for life-changing conflict and potential conscription. Okay, potential conscription. We've got also lots of reports coming out as well that countries in like UK are warning their citizens to prepare for war, but they're also letting everybody know to stay calm. There is no conscription coming, okay? But we want you to know that you're going to be conscripted, basically, is what they're saying. They're telling people, don't be scared, but yes, you're going to be going to war and you're going to be fighting on the front lines inside of Ukraine. So again, I've been telling everybody this about Ukraine. Ukraine is the major war going on over there. Everybody's distracted with what's going on in the Middle East, and I believe it's a complete distraction. What's really happening is what's happening in Ukraine, okay? That's the real fight, and NATO does not want to lose, and Russia does not want to lose. Somebody has to lose, okay? And if neither are willing to back down and lose, what do you think is going to happen? There's going to be more war, expansion of war. It's only going to continue. It's not going to get any better. So if you look at that and you look at everything I'm talking about here and you look at these articles, put it all together, and what does that come up with? we're going to have years upon years of war. Okay. And at some point, regular citizens of the West are going to start fighting Russia and potentially China and North Korea and any other allies over there, maybe Iranian troops, who knows? We will get involved at some point, and it is a matter of time. And I'm warning all of you right now. So I hope you're ready for it. I've got one last article here to share with you, and take a look at this. Russia issues ominous warning to countries preparing for war. Okay, so this is regarding Sergei Lavrov. This is the foreign minister, Russian foreign minister, excuse me. He issued a warning to countries preparing for potential war with Russia. Okay, so he's talking about all these countries coming out, just like what I'm telling you right now. All these countries preparing for war, he's got a warning for them. Speaking at a press briefing at the United Nations headquarters in New York City Wednesday, Lavrov commented on the calls by many Western nations to have anticipated a potential conflict with Russia in the coming years, saying that he hopes that those who warn about the need to prepare for war with Russia still have the instinct of self-preservation. Let's read that again. That those who warn about the need to prepare for war with Russia still have the instinct of self-preservation. What does that mean? Lavrov appeared to be referencing warnings from several NATO members that the growing tensions surrounding the war in Ukraine could boil over into other parts of Eastern Europe. President Joe Biden has warned that if the U.S. is unable to continue supporting Ukraine's defense against Russia's invasion, Washington and the West risk being pulled into the war with Moscow directly. And yes, Biden did come out and say that. He did state that if Ukraine loses this war, we are going to have to go in and fight directly. Okay, so Ukraine cannot lose this. Like I'm telling everybody, Ukraine cannot lose, meaning the West can't lose, and Russia can't lose. Okay, because that would make Russia look really bad for them to launch this operation into here and then they lose this war. No one is going to give up. They're going to continue to conscript and conscript and conscript more people into this fight. And Ukraine, the more they run out of troops, where do you think those extra troops are going to come from? They're going to come from the West. So I hope you're all ready for this. Okay, this is very serious. This is not a time to be messing around here, and I hope you're all preparing for it, because it can get bad here really quickly, and we never know when that time's coming. So Ukraine's going to continue to fight this war, but at some point, if any side begins to show weakness, we're going to have big problems here. Okay, and I think Russia will never want to lose this war. And I wouldn't be surprised if they result in nuclear weapons if they start to lose this war. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not saying that will happen, but it would not surprise me if they were to do that, because everybody here that's involved, they are all in, okay, and both sides are going to fight till the end, okay, and we're going to see who the end is going to be here in probably the next year or two, but it may come sooner. We'll see. So anyway, that's going to be the latest on, I guess, U.S. military news that I got for you here today. Hope you got something out of this. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video, please like the video and hit the subscription button, and also the notification bell, so that way YouTube can notify you as soon as a new video goes live. We do put out several a day. So thank you again so much for being here. Appreciate all of you today. Everybody take care. God bless, and we'll see you later.